KB in the bay going crazy. Put peace on the hood, Mercedes. Young boys letting off 80. Leaning next to a DR like Haiti. This ain't no Porter, no Bailey. No internet clown gon' play me. Money ain't never gon' make me. I can win with a couple bucks like Brady. HCA baby, you cannot shame me. What they gon' pay me to shut my mouth? Ain't gotta okay me, then they gon' save me. I'm finna stay free.
This kind of goes into the theme of this season for me. The theme of this season for Shaping the Culture is do not despise the days of small beginnings.
Come on.
And I feel like the reason why we're not competent, the reason why we don't work so hard is because we are just waiting for that one shot, that one opportunity. But you mentioned this so beautifully. Are you ready for that opportunity? Are you ready? Like, let's say that open door was to come tomorrow or even today. What have you put in your 10,000 hours? Have you put in the work? Have you shown yourself to be excellent so that you could make a lasting impression on whoever it is that you're trying to impress? But I wanted to talk to you about that a little bit. Like, what does it look like? I mean, even the studio space that we're in, I'm inspired because you're making, we talked about this before we started recording, you're making a lot happen with a little. And that's you maximizing, you not despising the days of small beginnings. I've even heard you speak on your chat like, man, we want to expand, we want to grow. Realistically, that's just not where we are. But that hasn't held you back at all. You've continued to show up, you continue to be faithful, you continue to be excellent, you continue to grow. But I feel like a lot of people get knocked down by the small. They're intimidated by the 100 views that they get, and they're like, man, I should be getting more views, or man, I'm not getting the streams that this person is getting, and they back down or backtrack altogether. Can you speak to what it looks like to embrace the days of small beginnings and to maximize the small beginnings and then to scale from there?
You always feel like you're experiencing small beginnings, right? Like the people I know who are very successful still don't feel like they're very successful because there's always somebody more popular than you. There's always somebody with more subscribers, more views.
That's good.
So that never really ends. And we're naturally competitive people. So we're always looking at, you know, I got 225,000 subscribers, but Young Don got 280,000 subscribers, right? And it's like, it gets such a small difference, and then there'll be someone else, and then there's always someone else, right? And you think that, oh, when I got to 200,000 subscribers, I'll feel this way.
Right. Nah.
There's always the next milestone. There's always the next thing. So the day of small beginnings is always.
All the time.
Right?
Wow, that's
the fact that we have this space, I used to dream when I was next door in 2016. Me and my family live next door, so that we're in the living room of my condo, the condo next door to my house, right? So we rent both places. I used to dream about having just a space. Then I used to dream about having a studio like that was functional. Then I used to dream about, man, I can't wait till we get this studio up. Now I'm dreaming about, I can't wait till I buy a home. I can't wait till I buy a home and put a 1,200 square foot spot, because this is about 300 square feet. Oh my gosh, what could I do with 4X? Then I'm going to be thinking about buying the film hub down the street. That's 5,000, 10,000 square foot. That's a full-on space with multiple rooms and an infinity. Like, there's always the next thing.
Right.
So that you'll never be like, I've arrived, right? That's never a thing, in my opinion. I think there's always going to be something else,
right? And
which is why it's important to have those anchors, you know, and those boundaries and parameters. I would say, I heard Alex Hormozy say something really interesting, and he paralleled it to fitness. He had a short or a TikTok about this, and he said, most people underestimate how much it requires to grow muscle, and they underestimate how little it requires to maintain. So most people start training and they underestimate how much it requires to actually build your shoulders. And he was talking about his calves, like he wanted his calves bigger. And so he said in order to grow his calves, he'd go in and the first 10 sets of his workouts every day, high volume, he would just work on his calves. He said he underestimated how much work it took to get his calves big. But now that he's super duper buff and big, most people underestimate how little it takes to just maintain your body, right? And so it's the same way in business. Most people underestimate how much work it actually takes to do something disruptive in your own output, in your own workflow, and all these different things. And they underestimate, okay, now that I'm here, it's actually not that hard to maintain, right? So the growth is always going to cost more than the maintenance. And in this entire thing, you have to ask yourself, am I trying to grow? Am I trying to maintain, right? I view it as, I can't control the output all the time.
Right.
I can't control what YouTube's RPM is going to be based on if there's a downturn with inflation. I can't control that. All I can control is my input. Right. I can't control my genetics on if I can broaden my shoulders and grow my biceps by, right? I can't necessarily control that.
Right.
I can control my input.
Right.
I can control going to the gym every day.
Right.
I can control progressive overload. So I consume myself with what can I control? Right. And then the chips kind of fall where they may. Yeah. Will I get to 1 million subscribers? Will I not? Will I get to 5 million subscribers? Will I not? I don't know. Yeah. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm going to control my input
that's good, man.
every single day.
That's good, man.
And let the chips fall where they may. And that's kind of some of that providence thing. Now, the coolest thing is when bigger creators see that in you and say, oh, bro, when you're at 2-3 million subscribers, and I'm like, 2-3 million subscribers, like I'm trying to get to 1 million, you know? And that's super cool because you people who've gone where you want to go see it and call and speak it, encourage it, and affirm it. And that's dope. But you can't control that kind of stuff. Like we can't control if YouTube's going to be around in 5 years.
Yeah.
I might get to 1 million subscribers and it'd be irrelevant.
Yeah.
Think about all the people booming on Instagram right now
Right.
as Instagram is dying.
Yeah, and TikTok is
taking off. Is it really that important how many Instagram followers you have? Not as much, you know?
That's right.
Still relevant. And so you can't control the output of things. You can only control what you can control. So I input what I can and I do my job to be faithful, and then God, the algorithm, the audience, they have to, that's outside of my control.
Like this ain't clout. This isn't real life. I got a real life. Price is better and it ain't no doubt. I ain't got time to debate. There's countries to save. Afghanistan, Cuba, I pray.